Imagine a man who didn't stop walking. Not for a day, not a month, not even a year. He walked for 27 years straight. No phone, no GPS, no money in his pocket. Just a worn-out pair of shoes, a backpack, and a heart carrying more pain than any human should. Most people can't walk for an hour without complaining, but this man crossed continents, deserts, mountains, jungles, and even war zone, completely alone. Before he became known as the king of all survival stories, he was just an ordinary person whose life collapsed so deeply that the only thing he could think to do was walk away from everything and walk into the unknown. His journey didn't begin with adventure. It began with heartbreak. Something shattered inside him so badly that home no longer felt like home. So one morning, without telling anyone, he stepped outside and kept walking. And when night came, he didn't stop. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and soon the road became his only companion. He traveled through burning deserts where the sand could melt plastic, through icy mountain passes where he wrapped himself in old blankets to avoid freezing, and through endless forests where even sunlight struggled to reach him. Every step was a fight against hunger, loneliness, wild animals, sickness, and exhaustion. But every step also brought him further from his pain and closer to becoming a legend. He didn't leave home to break a record. He left because life had broken him first. One morning, with eyes still swollen from a night of pain, he stepped outside with no destination, just movement. The world around him felt heavy, but each step felt lighter than the last. He walked past the borders of his town, past the familiar streets, and past the people who once knew him. Days passed, and something strange happened. Walking became his medicine. The farther he went, the quieter his mind became. And without realizing it, his journey of 27 years had begun. Nature was both his enemy and his teacher. Under the burning desert sun, his lips cracked, his skin peeled, and every breath felt like swallowing fire. Nights in the mountains were a different torture. The cold stabbed straight through his bones. Sometimes he slept in caves, sometimes under trees, and sometimes not at all. He learned how to find water from the ground, how to follow animal tracks, how to use stones for warmth. Wild animals watched him from a distance, wolves, snakes, boars, but he never feared them. His fear had already been left behind, somewhere far back on the road. Not all dangers came from nature. Some came from people. Once, thieves cornered him on a lonely road and took everything he carried. Another time, a group of villagers almost mistook him for a criminal. But there were good souls too. An old woman who gave him bread, a truck driver who offered a ride he refused, a farmer who let him sleep in a barn during a storm. Every stranger taught him something. Trust carefully, accept kindness humbly, and never lose your humanity no matter how dark the world becomes. These small encounters became the silent chapters of his journey. Walking for years wasn't the hardest part, the silence was. Months would pass where he didn't hear another human voice. Sometimes he talked to himself just to remember what language felt like. Loneliness crept into his mind like a slow poison. There were days he wanted to stop, days he questioned why he was still alive, days where every step felt heavier than the last. But every morning, something pushed him forward, maybe hope, maybe stubbornness, maybe just the fear of going back. In that endless silence, he learned one truth: when the mind breaks, the body becomes your only guide. After 27 years, his feet had crossed more land than most people see in a lifetime. His hair had turned gray, his face had deep lines, and his eyes carried stories the world would never fully understand. When he finally returned home, many didn't recognize him, but he hadn't come back for attention. He came back because the road finally felt complete. People later called him the king of survival, but he never saw himself as a hero. He simply walked through pain, through fear, through life itself, and his journey proved one thing: sometimes moving forward is the greatest survival of all. After 27 years of walking, he didn't return with treasure, fame, or glory. He returned with something far more powerful: the understanding that survival isn't about strength. It's about persistence. His story teaches us that no matter how dark life becomes, As long as you keep moving one step, one breath, one moment at a time, you are still winning. The world may knock you down, people may forget you, and storms may break you, but the road will always offer one more step forward. And in the end, that's all he ever did. He walked and found life again in the journey.